All right, g'day, hi and welcome. So another chainsaw video because my truck's broke. Can't blog and truck. It's a nice day out and I'm not out cutting grass. And the reason why is because my Exhibit A. The day after my truck I got to look at it. A bunch of things I got to look at it. Exhibit B. There's Exhibit C. Well, that's a lot of transmission fluid, isn't it? Yeah, that's off my dad's truck. He just got his truck fixed. The day after, basically, my dad had to grab the tractor. I heard footsteps going by the house. My dad walks in. I'm like, where's the truck? You know, that little truck. Somebody asked about that little truck. Why don't I sell it? Because it's my dad's truck. He'd kind of kill me. But it was like, yeah, he says he blew a transmission line off the coming back. He made it to the bottom of the driveway. He grabbed the tractor. I steered. He pulled it up with the tractor. We got it here. Then he just filled it up enough to get it to the local garage. It wouldn't work on my vehicle for like forever and a day, but they took my dad right away. Which I'm glad they did, because at least there's one vehicle in the household that's working. So yeah. But anyway, I wanted to show you something else. I'll make other videos about the truck there, and some of the stuff I'm gonna search. Which saw should I start with? Yeah, no, I'm gonna start with that saw, because Sasquatch needs some recognition and some love here. Now, he's not running right, but for 10 years, or no, more like 13 years, that's 12 out of that 13 years, because I've had this thing since 2010, I'm sure. Paid $50 for the saw, running. Lots of dents. This is the second bar with it. This is my first good chain I put on it. So for a good while, I didn't have the money. Like, you know, I'm working class poor, right? So I get this saw for $50. It was a contractor saw. It was like the bar and chain were done when I got it. They left two of them behind at a job, and the job was my friend that worked for the company. The saws were at the company's from Montreal. So they did a housing project or whatever. They had these two of them, the same thing, MS 260s. Couldn't tell you what year, but I'm sure these ones are pretty old. And they cut, like, you name it, they hit nails and tin. It's probably dropped off the roof 10 times. My buddy said, oh yeah, for sure, these saws the other saw I think was slightly nicer than this one. It didn't quite look as beat up as it does now, but when I got it, but that was already there. That was already broken off. Like, I haven't broken any chunks off of it. It came with its custom broken chunks. He goes, I know this saw for sure went off the roof a couple of times. And it still runs like a charm. It still ran like a charm. And up till last November, I was sawing, and it was, this saw, you could leave it for 2 months, 3 months with old gas in it. Grab it, pull it, maybe 3 to 5 times, and away to go. And after you let it run for about a half an hour, cutting, it's like 1-2 pulls. It's been like that right up until last November for 12 years out of the 13 that I've owned it, right? And it's pretty much been a headache-free saw. And this saw has done a lot of work. Trust me, I've only got about $70 invested. The bar was given to me for free. The chain I bought new for $20 or whatever. I sharpened it a bunch of times. I got to sharpen that tooth again. It looks like I hit something there. Probably hit a rock or a stone or a nail, and who knows. Last big job I did this was the Manitoba maples, and that was a big job. That was huge. There was stuff bigger than that, those 2 maples there, and I was pretty much, my buddy was following with his big Husky 65cc. This is only 50cc's, but don't let it fool you. This saw is more saw than most people need. This is probably the best in the middle of the road class of saw, 50cc's. A lot of people, they either go stupidly small or stupidly big. They're a homeowner and they buy like a Stihl 881 or something like that, like 120cc saw. You don't need that. You don't even need that for that. Like this, with a slightly longer bar, will take down a tree, trees this size. Yeah, it's hard on a saw like this, but it can do it. It can do it, and it has been done. So, like, the biggest tree I fell with this was a poplar, probably about 2 feet wide at the base, a little wider, little less wide than those guys. About 150 feet tall. And massacred it, no problem. So up until last year, it just all of a sudden, while I was cutting up Manitoba maples, we are cutting it up for, like cheap stove wood. We got the wood for free, so we might as well make a little more money off of it. And it just died. That was it. It was like, just started bogging and dying. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it needs an adjustment. But I have not adjusted the carburetor on this for 12 years out of the 13 years. It's just pull it, go, pull it, go. Winter, summer. Most of the work on this thing has been for this thing has been in the summer. And God knows how beat up it was when I really got it. You know what I mean? Like, it was pretty beat up. And it just ran and ran and ran and ran. So I did a little bit of maintenance last year. It does go. It does run. I don't know if there's any gas left in it. Oh, a little bit of a pressure lock in there. Oh, yeah, there's some gas in there from... I think I had put that in the spring. So it's probably pretty bad. But I'm going to try to get it up and running again today. And I'm going to check a few things and see what's what. But, like, I mean, this saw, to rebuild it, is worth the money, because the same MS 260 now is about $1,000 Canadian, so about 8 or 10 bucks American. And I mean, it's a good little saw. I mean, you got the dogs there. Like, this is a working man saw, and it's a really good saw. I cannot recommend an MS 260 enough for the average person. If you're a farm guy and you don't have big trees, you'll love this. If you're an ATV guy, it's a little bit big for just slinging around, just having sitting on the back of the ATV just in case, but it will definitely do the job. If you're a homeowner, more than enough saw. If you got to do stove wood all day, got a 16-inch bar in there. I wouldn't go any bigger than the 16-inch for this, but this, I don't know, probably 500-600 cord, maybe 1,000 cord of stove wood I've done with this in the last, but you know what I mean? Like, there's 18 here, except for this year I didn't do any of it. It was all my dad, but 14 to 18 cord here every year, and then for other people, 10 cord, 5 cord, you know what I mean? Trees, how many, could have fallen 500 trees with this thing. I don't know. Like, it's paid for itself so many times. Great saw, very reliable, easy to start. Just all the way down, choke, one up is run, all the way up is off. Simple. Pull it. Yeah. Oh, I did break the cord on it and put a new cord on it. And you can see I didn't get quite the right height. So got to take up a little, I got to retie it again, but whatever. It does the job. And I had to do that on site because the original cord literally rotted off the chainsaw. So this is what a working man saw looks like. It looks like I don't take care of it, but trust me, it's taken care of. It's dirty because it's been sitting in the garage, but I do take care of this saw, and it has been a really good saw. It has been a really good saw. Yeah, you might get one, and it's, buyer beware when you buy used. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm going to do probably, if I get the time, a series on buying a used chainsaw, things to look for, because I usually end up with saws that need work. Even a saw like this that is practically like new needs work. It needs work. Mostly tuning is what that one needs, but this saw, again, I got it for free. The bar was free, and the chain is free, and the chain is pretty bad on it, but it runs, but it needs stuff, so I'm probably a rebuild for this is probably going to be, if I do everything, probably about $300. They don't make the MS 270 now. I think this is basically the 50. It's the same as this saw. The only difference is that has a ported head on it, but you can upbuild this to a 280. Everything will fit. So I don't know about in this one. I don't really want anything heavier, right? This is nice and light. This is about 10 pounds, maybe 11 at the most. I never weighed it, but usually when they give you the weight, they just give you the weight of the block. You know what I mean? It's probably heavier than that, but it's light enough that you can work with this thing all day. and not get tired. So when I'm working with my buddy and he's got his big 65cc Husky, once we get past the butt blocks up, you know, a little ways on the tree, you go to a saw like this. You don't need, yeah, the big saw will cut a little bit faster by that much. I'm talking maybe a few seconds difference between each block. So over a tree time, yeah, you're talking maybe an extra 10, 15 minutes of cutting, but your back doesn't feel it. You know, where when you got a 15-pound saw, your back feels it. So I do highly recommend one of these. If you get a chance to get one used and rebuild it, that's fine. If you buy it brand new, I'm sure it'll serve you well. They'll serve you well for decades. Again, I've done nothing other than gas and oil in this saw, and that's it. That's all I've done to the saw. And I do believe my problem isn't probably like, I mean, maybe the rings are finally done in it. Who knows? But for the amount of cutting I got at it, like this saw owes me nothing. If I would have bought this saw new 10 years ago, I would still be saying this saw more than paid for itself. This saw is more than paid for a new saw. Now, if you're not a guy who's making a living doing stuff like that, even then, you got a saw that's not really crazy astronomically expensive. Good for a homeowner. So the little guys are great if you're only doing branches and stuff, but if you got to follow the odd tree and do stovewood, this is a nice medium-sized saw. There we go. Highly recommend. 13 years of experience on this saw. That's my recommendation.